January 23rd, 2024, regular meeting of the Chambersburg Area School Board. The board met in an executive session regarding legal and personnel matters. Mr. Norcross is unable to attend the meeting tonight due to a work commitment, and Mrs. Gauss is absent due to a personal situation, and Dr. Diller is online with us. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
The screen says it can't start. I've never seen that message before, so it may not be streaming.
All right.
I'm texting.
All right.
Just a point of information, if you're looking at the agenda, you will notice that there are asterisks beside a few of the items. The asterisk indicates that this was an item that was added after the Committee of the Whole meeting 2 weeks ago, just for your information. 2.03, approval to adopt the January 23rd, 2024 agenda. Do I hear a motion and a second?
So move.
Second? Okay, moved by Mr. McKee and second by Mr. Haydock. With the agenda, if there is any item that needs to be pulled from the agenda as printed, we need to, any
I would
item?
like, oh, sorry.
Personal messages that went out on the robocalls. I heard many people comment that it was nice to hear a cheerful voice sharing the news. The news was sometimes a joyful thing for the kids and sometimes an inconvenience for others. I'd also like to thank those who attended the public forum on January 9th. Again, I heard a lot of comments from the forum that were very favorable, and I look forward to the next forum on February the 13th. The topic is academics, and academics is of utmost importance to everyone since the primary purpose of the school district is education of all students who attend kindergarten through 12th grade. Another item I wanted to mention was the kindness tunnels that we've been getting invitations to that are being held in the month of February in some of the elementary schools. Having attended those events at numerous schools last year, I encourage board members who have flexibility of their schedules to plan to attend at least one of those events. Being present at district and community activities requires additional time investment, but it has many intangible rewards. And I'd also like to acknowledge the reports that were given at the Committee of the Whole by Mr. Varner and by Mrs. Stauffer. Despite living in the community all my life, I continue to be amazed at the new information that I learned from being at the various meetings where reports like those were given. I hear from a lot of property owners who value the homestead exclusion provision that Mrs. Stauffer explained so well, and the community made such a wise decision whenever they approved the homestead exclusion as it is some years ago. The next thing is item 3.02, which is the superintendent's report. Mr. Bigger.
Thank you, Mrs. Gogler. I think we're having technical difficulties on the live stream, correct, Diana? So currently we're not live streaming. So do we post the audio then if we don't, or we'll just post the minutes then in the meeting? Okay. So hopefully we get the live streaming up and running. Sorry for the delay on that. I do want to thank the Chambersburg Area Education Association for the agreement. Hopefully we approve tonight to extend the teacher contract 1 year. Buys us time to sit down and really work through issues in the future if we have any. But I do want to thank them. That does help me tremendously as a new superintendent coming in, not to jump into maybe heavy negotiations in a short period of time. I also want to acknowledge the teachers that are receiving tenure tonight. Congratulations to them. I'm excited. We still have teaching staff that want to teach and stay and be here. So tenure is a nice step on their career, and hopefully their career remains here in Chambersburg. At this point, I've had multiple communications regarding or worried about graduation. And at this point, we see no reason why graduation will change for Cassius or CMS. Aside from a state shutdown for multiple days over time for snow, I'm not hoping for that, but that would be the only condition where we'd be forced to move graduation. So everybody can stay as planned for graduation per the calendar. Now that leads me into students in grades kindergarten through 11th grade. Stay tuned to see what happens if we need to make up the snow days and have school the week of June 3rd. There was new legislation passed this year, House Bill 1507, that amends the school code that allows schools to meet requirements with hours instead of days. And Chambersburg exceeds the minimum number of hours, thus allowing us the opportunity to might not have to make up the days. However, we haven't received regulatory guidance on what the new law means. So I don't want to commit to not making up the days until we see if the regulatory guidance tells us something or something we shouldn't do, especially for basic ed subsidies. And so after we get the guidance, we'll make a final determination as we get through the winter season, and we'll communicate that. I can say, though, if we have 3 or 4 more days, we will have school the week of June 3rd just for the student benefit. 1 or 2 days we can work through and meet the hours, but we cannot go over 4 or 5 and still meet the hours. So stay tuned on that. I appreciate all the email communications to me, and I've responded to each one of those. Staff members are poised in the district to start looking at what we call benchmarking. So we're going to start going out to visit other schools for ideas, and whether it's enhancing what we're currently doing, looking at a new idea, or just revisiting some other ways to do that. So we're excited to send folks to places to get some ideas. And we have some targeted areas that we're going to be working on in the near future. I'm continuing to gather lots of research. Typical school superintendents come in and write an entry plan. I'm working on that, which reveals the research in the district, whether it's enrollment, academic performance, finances, technology, changing demographics. There are a lot of items that'll be in the report, and I hope to complete that by February and get that published so people can see what we're working off of. But it is a large district and lots of information continues to come in. But I'm excited to craft that entry plan report so the public and the board can see, and the staff, what my assessment or analysis was by analyzing all the data. Last reminder that if a board member is interested in doing the facility tour, let Mrs. Stauffer know. We are planning those hopefully for February 16th. Yes?
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay. With the day we do not have students in the school, but it is an in-service day, would be a great day for us to travel around the school district to see the schools. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mrs. Gogler.
Thank you. Moving to 3.03, do we have any student government reports? I don't see anyone here for that. No? Okay, so we will pass on that. 4.04, members of the audience are invited to comment on agenda items. This is a reminder that public comment is not a forum for personal attacks, antagonistic behavior, or harassment. Please be advised that you are accountable for any legal ramifications that result from statements that misrepresent the truth, defame individuals, or disclose personal information that is not of public concern. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. And do we have a sign-in sheet? Okay, Valerie Jordan. What item are you?
Well, it doesn't say, but the superintendent. And my husband at the last meeting suggested that that comment be stricken from the record, meaning, you know, libel and all that. I mean, it's just not right. It just isn't to hear. I mean, I've gone to hundreds of meetings in my lifetime.
What is the agenda item that you're speaking
Well,
to?
I'm just suggesting, Faye, that maybe you should think about, the board as a whole should think about dropping that comment. It only started because of some parents, and since that time, nobody's done that. Under the superintendent's report, but first I'd like to thank the administration for starting the creation of a Special Olympics Club, the creation of a mini-thong club at Cassius. That, I was told, is for cancer, and that's near and dear to my heart. And the STEM club, very nice. But Superintendent Bigger, I have something I'd like to read to you directly tonight, if that I can. I would like you to consider using my tax dollars out of a $5 million budgetary reserve to replace all outdated and dangerous playground equipment in any schoolyard that needs such equipment replaced. Per state statute 2, I don't believe any PTO should be forced to use its monies to repair, replace, and build playground equipment.
Excuse me, what item on the agenda are you
The
speaking to?
superintendent's report.
I don't,
I'm speaking to the superintendent directly, Faye. It is my
That's-
responsibility to do that. I recently went back to my former borough in New Jersey to see how things changed there. I stopped at the local community park, Union Forge Park. I saw the playground equipment that my son repaired or replaced for his Eagle Scout project back in 1996 was
Ms.
now
Jordan, if you
gone.
would like to speak
Why?
on the,
It no longer fit current code. So I can't speak to the superintendent directly. So what I'll do is I'll just put
Okay.
this in an attachment and send it,
Thank you.
okay? And I'll add a few more comments to it. when
you,
I
you
do.
can speak at the end of the meeting.
No,
No,
there's no
okay.
public
Okay.
comment.
Oh, we took that off, okay. Okay.
That's why I'm doing it now,
Okay,
under the superintendent.
okay.
There's no public comment at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, and I have $1.87 check later for my portion.
I need a motion to approve 5.01 through 5.20 with, okay, we need a motion to speak to 511.
No, motion to approve 511, a second, and then we can have discussion.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve 511. And a second. A second? All those in favor?
No, discussion, no.
Oh, discussion? Okay,
It's a
Excuse
learning
me.
curve for everyone, right?
yeah.
I asked for this to be pulled simply for the fact, and I'll direct it to you, Dr. Long, since I see your name after it. Simply for the fact that this past Friday, I received many emails, texts, and calls about the FID Day and why it was not utilized. And so I just wanted to address that as a group and let you know what the information that I was getting. There was a lot of teachers, there were some parents that were questioning why that was not being utilized, since that's, the comment was since that's what they're there for. And so I'm just relaying that information to you. I did email and ask some questions, and I'm learning that maybe it can be different. Like, so what the, I don't know what the word is.
Flexible instructional day is
Right.
what FID's called.
Correct.
And there was legislation prior to COVID to allow folks to do this for weather related. And so, Mark, if you don't mind, I'll jump in a little bit, and thank you for the question. It was my decision not to run FID days At this point in time, until we assess the quality of the FID days, how do they meet standard? There are lots of ways to do FID days. And I want to make sure the kids are getting a good education for those days if we're going to go down the FID days path. So at this point, we have time in the calendar. We have a new law that says you may or may not have to make up the days. So we're waiting till all this plays out to see if FID becomes a need in the future. So I do believe in traditional snow days to a degree. And so at this point, we've decided to just stick with snow day makeups. And hopefully we don't have to add on to the calendar. But I needed time to reassess the FID days, make sure they meet a standard, it's of high quality, and it's worth it. If there's anything we learned about the pandemic, academic performance dropped considerably post-COVID. So I'm hesitant to run to a FID day, which is a cyber day or some version of that, when we know systemically it wasn't quality in the end. That doesn't mean it didn't serve its purpose for the time and the issues during COVID and at hand, but I'm not running to that as a solution.
So the way that different districts do FID days can be different pertaining specifically to that district?
Yeah, we could reevaluate how we do them and change it.
Okay,
I think we're at a 3-year approval. I'm looking to Mark on when we approved ours here. Yeah. So it's every 3 years you can update and do it only for weather related.
okay.
So we can take a look at ours and maybe make some adjustments that'll meet more students' needs at the time. I think the second struggle with FID days in general, just for the public's understanding, is you have a lot of students with special needs or educational disadvantage can really struggle on the FID day more so without having a person there. You know, and so you question whether they can access the curriculum, whether they can access the teacher or not, and how well they can do that. So until we assess that capability, it's hard again to commit to a FID day. And so I think it's a little bit on my end to learn more about how we did FIDs in the past. And I've read the plan, but I haven't asked operationally, like, how does it really work at all our schools? So it's more me putting a pause on it and saying, we're not going to do it this year, but we can reevaluate it.
And so then would access to like internet or something like that
Yeah.
also be something to consider
Yes.
depending on
Yes.
where, okay.
Yes. And we were forced to in COVID, and everybody had to, but when you have a choice to do it, I think it's a different conversation
Okay.
when you really understand there are lots of students and families that don't have access.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thanks for the question.
Is there any other discussion that anyone wants to contribute?
I'll just ask, I think I had made a couple suggestions last time around. I think the one was a contract issue, is why there was, kind of have to stick it out. The other one was a discussion among administration about, or you just feel like, you know, we should move on as is. I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
But I just thought it'd be good to bring that public.
And I think it's a great opportunity for you to tell me if you want to see more FID days in our future calendar, and I think this is why it's at this appropriate time. It is an administrative choice, but it's an opportunity for us, and it is an opportunity for you to give me feedback.
Well, for me, listening to what you're saying, and I try to gather as much information as possible. I want to take into consideration what they're saying. But if we're going to do a FID day, I want to make sure that it's something that's actually educational. I don't want it to be like, maybe we're going to do it, maybe we're not, half and half, because then you might as well
Right.
just take the snow day, right?
Right. Correct.
Sorry, Ben, were you going to comment? I'm sorry if
No,
I
no,
cut you
no.
off.
If there's more discussion about FID, stay on that. Sorry.
Okay, any other discussion about the FID days or the calendar?
Yes, I'd just like to add in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Mr. Bigler's comment about what we've learned from COVID is because of certain children within the district and their needs and so forth, in-person learning I believe is a priority for students because I think they gain so much more from it. But I do think it can be evaluated. But at the same time, I think that we all have learned from COVID that in-person learning makes a big difference for students. So just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, my question, I had just asked if there was a possibility of moving any of the Wednesday days that were off to a Monday or a Friday. And I heard a really good reason not to do that. So if was there any additional discussion?
There was internally.
Okay.
Internally, there was. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm fine with just leaving it as is.
Yeah.
But thought I should ask.
We did have some discussion on that, and when we reviewed the calendar and reviewed the contract, there were some contractual issues that we have because we have the 4 after-school meetings, and they're tagged on to those Wednesdays, so if we move them to Friday, then it's, oh yeah. So, and there's some other things as well with the days off around those areas. You're gonna have to give us some time to move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
also,
that's fine.
Ben, no,
I'm supportive.
here's encouragement too for you as a board. If you have things related to the calendar like this that the board wants to do, you make the motion. And it's hard for us sometimes to respond to one board member wanting something, but we don't know if everybody wants to move it to a Friday.
Well, I think you have good reason for doing what you do.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not gonna make a motion.
Yeah, and but
don't-
that
yeah.
that is the power of the board and the control board saying if you wanted to see fit days or you wanted to move it, that's what
Sure.
you can do, and you make a motion, and then we discuss it and debate it, and yes or no. But sometimes it's hard for us to interpret, hey, Mr. Aber said something, should we do it, should we not do it, not knowing what everybody else thinks.
Sure.
So, and that was an internal struggle for us too. So just being, completely open and transparent with board processes.
That makes sense.
And we do about once a month have a long weekend or an extended vacation period anyhow, so.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve 5.11. Can we have a vote on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on then to 6, education and services. 6.01, the Laurel Hill School Statement of Work. Kurt Widman's not here. Do you have that, Mark?
Yes, the administration recommends the approval of this as presented.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve 6.01?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 6.02, an exchange student for the 2024-2025 school year. Again, Mark.
Yes, we would like to ask the board to approve the exchange student coming from France. All the materials have been vetted and approved through the system.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Okay, moving to 6.03, the stepping stone addendum for 2 employees who are PCAs for 2 special education students.
Yes, we would like to approve the addendums to the Stepping Stones contract for these 2 employees as presented.
Motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Good work. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, finishing up 6.04, the LIU Homebound Instruction Agreement. This is for special education students who have a need for homebound services. Mr. Long?
Yes, request approval for this. This is from FLC, Franklin Learning Center.
Okay,
I'll move to approve.
do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Bigger, is there any other items that need to be?
No additional items, just the item 8.01 is for information that we're required to review our health and safety plan every 6 months, I believe, in alignment with our ESSERS/COVID money. So not many changes to that, and really don't want to discuss it if we don't have to.
Any other comments from the board members about anything for the good of the meeting? If not, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you.